Margot, what's your Instagram?
Well, believe it or not, I don't have an Instagram.
Amen,
I have
amen.
Black Beauty and Wellness. But I'm going to say this, when you work, I've never had I'm just getting a website. But I've been able to work for 30 years, recommended. That's why I say your work still doesn't matter how much you on Instagram or you on this, if you do not produce,
Right.
then your reputation will be trashed. I am now building one, and I'm looking at myself and what she said, I don't know where I'm gonna go when I unleash some of the things that I'm getting ready to do. And I just feel blessed to have been here and just to be empowered. And one of the things I want to say in closing is too, I made a statement about working with and for strong Black men. Because remember, Black women and women weren't given certain opportunities. But all of those men had strong Black women in every major position. And that's because we're loyal, we do what we say we're gonna do, we're organized, and that's how they propelled and succeeded, period. So that's why it's now the year of the women, but it's the power of us coming together as unity and working together as brother and sister. And so you can look for Black Beauty and Wellness Foundation. So everything that I do is underneath the foundation. It's Black Beauty.
As a young Black man in the entertainment business, should I be trying to climb the ladder or build my own?
Ooh, I was gonna say build your own, but at the same time, learn and mentor, because you have to look at, I was lucky to get in the entertainment industry because I won't say luck, I'll go back to him. I put myself in the right places and took advantage of the opportunities. So you have to learn from what's happening, but also build your own. It's hard for young Black men out here. And I think we have to now, when we look at coming back, is how we represent and represent ourselves. And I would like to see young Black men mentor and really take more pride into themselves, because a lot of young Black men are just kind of letting themselves go with all the changes and the pants pulled down and the different things. We just have to, right. Take pride in yourself and build your own, but learn from those that are already doing it, so that as you move up the ladder, you can continue and not go backwards.
So are you saying it's kind of like take some opportunities in society, in the business society, learn, get those connections, and then use it for my own
mentor,
thing?
you can do both at the same time. I mean, a lot of us have done both. We've had our own companies doing it, and we've also worked in corporate at the same time while we were building. Some people had opportunities to just go for it based on their mindset, and they've had people helping them along the way. Because no one makes it alone.
Right, I understand that.
It's a stepping stone.
You said know your worth. Do you believe there's always a better opportunity around the corner?
I think it's a state of mind of where you want to be, because I think people look at money and things as being, and we know that money and things does not make us happy. I think you can always grow, learn new things that you're interested in, and that will continue to make new opportunities around the corner.
I have trouble telling my story visually, and is there a way that I can simplify? Because you said make it personal. Sometimes I feel like I'm in so many different lanes and things that I wish I could tell all of those at the same time. Do I have to choose one, or can I try and make them all incorporate into each other? Do you believe?
Well, you don't want to exhaust it all at once. I think what you need to identify really is the core that you want to push out there. And then you can, build off of that as you go.
Is having multiple lanes negative, or is it just about presenting it in the right timing?
Again, it goes back to the core of why and how you want the world to perceive
Simple,
your brand.
though. Simplified.
Say again?
Simplified, though.
Yeah, get the core, from season to season, and depending on what you're working with, then you bring out pieces, from here and there, but the brand identity can be a bunch of things. I just wanted to just represent for the Africans, because I think I'm the only African or Nigerian, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it's back to the issue of the identity crisis. right? When I moved to the U.S., you know, the perception I had back home and what I met here was absolutely opposite, right? You know, there was an incident that happened some time ago, and my father-in-law was telling me, I'm still trying to find myself, and I'm like, at 60 something, like if you're finding yourself at that age,
Yeah.
then what's our fate as, you know, as the younger generation?
Yes.
So all of that just to say, I hear about the slavery and all these things all the time around here. Like, I feel that is the only reference people have. So there's this sort of reacting to everything from a resentment view. Because I'll give a very, very good example. For example, you don't want an African brand, but you don't want, you know, white people to wear these clothes, right? But we spend all our money with the white brands. And we are always the influencers of all this design. So what I'm just trying not to rant off, but what's the ideal in that? Like saying, don't wear my stuff when, whether you like it or not, they're still gonna profit off your influence and off your stuff.
Yes.
So why don't you own it and monetize it and make as much money as you can? That is just by the way. Now, to actually have that sense of self, we need to go way back, because slavery is not where our story started. Yeah. Not at all. That was just, it's just like you want to talk about a football match and you're only starting from the halftime. You got to go to the start of it, and we were all royalty. And just to touch on the narrative of like, oh, you know, you said something earlier about going to South Africa and then they're leaving the good year and then they're leaving bad there. But I put it to you that it's the same year as well, okay? I have seen the most inhuman things in downtown, Skid Row, that I have never seen my whole life in Nigeria. I've seen all kinds of things that I've never seen in Africa. So it exists everywhere. So we need to take that narrative out, and also to take it a step forward. Africa right now is more than just sculptures, like I'm not knocking that up, but it's way beyond all that. And I'll give a very good example of this Nigerian brother making us proud, 31 years old, building a talent city in Nigeria right now, which is gonna be like the Silicon Valley of the whole of Africa. Wow. Those are the kind of people that are in, you know, that are in this generation right now. So, you know, we need to connect to that higher source. That's all I'm saying in essence. And, you know, the whole part of, for example, they say 1/3 of Americans never even have a passport. And, and, you know, they've sold this lie and this thing that it's like, you know, #1 country in the world, so you don't want to ever go outside your block and all that. Like, we can't really command world power. We can't really command world respect as Africans if Africans in Africa are not respected. Okay. And the good example is we can name any other tribe, whether it's, you know, Hispanics, Mexicans, whatever. When you hear that, the first thing you think of is their actual country. Mexico, Chinese, you think of China. African Americans is the same. You think of Africa. So until we're able to, you know, collaborate with people back home. That's why I love this event so much. If y'all don't mind, we could give a round of applause for Baaadu. Because this is the future. This is how we take, you know, this is how we demand our respect, or command our respect, rather.
That's right.
And
So I just wanted to put that out there.
Just piggying back on him really quick, what we have to realize is that it works both ways, because what they show in Africa is all of the bad stuff with what's happening over here in the United States, because that's what they want them to see. They show all of the pants hanging down, the women showing their booties, the shaking, the this, the slave movies, everything. They don't show what people are doing. Same thing with Africa. They want to show us the same thing because it's conquer and divide. And so with having this type of event, we should be able to bridge to start showing those real true stories, other stories, things that are bringing up that we have more together in common than separate. So we have to just stop looking at and accepting for what people are showing us, because I'm telling you, I've talked to a lot of African people, and some of them have said their families said, don't deal with black people when you go over there because they do this, they do that. It's because of what they show of us over there. And the same thing over here. And we buy into it. And we're not looking beyond those stories that want to keep being told all the time.
How old were you, and why did you choose the path that you chose to get you here today? That's my question.
Well, for me, I always liked sales and really got into it. But for your bigger question, I consider myself always learning. I like to mentor other young people. And coming from a background with a mother with mental issues, things affect you, so I'm always evolving, you know, because things go up and down. But that's when you pull from that inner strength and you have people around you that love you and you can make it through. Yeah. And you ask for help and you understand that you're only human.
Yeah, because we've never arrived. See, the minute you arrive, you imagine you're at the top of that mountain, you have nowhere to go but down. So as long as we're constantly elevating to that next level, and it's unlimited.
There are some areas of life, though, that you must master. You know, the difference between an intern and a professional is that there's a threshold. Because there are going to be people who are going to rely on your expertise and your mastery of that. When people say you've mastered something, there's a discipline, there's a sacrifice that goes into that. You can't just walk in there and be Big Willie, because there are going to be some people who are wholly dependent upon those nights and those days where you said, no, I can't go out, I gotta grind, I gotta be in the lab, I gotta do. There is a threshold where you gotta get serious about it. You know, if you want to throw it to the spiritual, you know, you go from milk to meat. You can't always be on milk and say, oh, I'm just a liquid person. No, because there's going to be a point where you don't have to be the one in the room who has been there, who has done that, has the confidence and the comfort level to get the job done. Because, you know, someone here said, okay, God has that staying power when you're asleep to kind of get you through the night. Every single day at work, I put somebody under anesthesia. And whether they convey that to me or not, they don't really know me. But you are relying on someone when you are at your most vulnerable position that they have done their due diligence. They have made those check boxes filled in. So you have to ask yourself, if you're serious about it, it doesn't really matter what genre you're talking about. You have to have some standards for yourself. And at some point, you're going to have to master something in life. You can't just go be born and then die a rookie. This is not how it works. Or you haven't lived. You know what I'm saying? So I do believe that you ought to always be a lifelong learner, but man, you're going to have something on the resume to say, I have done, in past tense, not I am doing. So just keep that in mind, because that confidence, I don't care whether you're selling ice cream or printing papers or whatever, someone comes in, we all know when you know what you're doing and when you're just fudging. And some things in life, when you fudge, people get hurt. So I'll just throw that out there.